What's up, guys? It's Coach Cam, and today we are back with another full body workout. This week, starting off with cable bicep curls. So, this video is going to be different in that it's going to be unedited. So, this is the full video, no stops between any exercises. You're going to see me setting up for the next one in between each. Starting off here with cable curls. So, we know by now with exercise science that the muscles that you target earlier in a workout can receive a bit more stimulus because you are less fatigued. You're able to push your body harder. You're able to recruit more motor units perhaps than if you did this exercise at the end of your workout. So in trying to get bigger arms, start off here, cable curls. And when I do start off with cable curls or any arm exercise, I'm able to add a little more weight than when I do them after compound exercises. So this is 50 pounds on the pulley. Nice and slow and controlled. Muscles are experiencing tension throughout every second of the entire exercise. No swinging, no jerking, no accelerating. The weight, remember, muscles permit movement. They do not require movement to contract. They're contracting whether you're moving the weight or not. That's what an isometric contraction is, right? When you're holding a weight, you're contracting. The volume camp might say, oh, you're not doing any volume. You didn't move the weight for any amount of reps. Well, reps is not the stimulus. It's muscle contraction, and your body will then recruit muscle fibers until right here, muscle failure. I could not finish the positive portion of the exercise, so then I lower back down. That means that my body recruited every muscle fiber possible to help me to bring that weight up, to help continue the exercise. I moved the easy cable bar attachment to the tricep pushdown position, and I set up the camera for tricep pushdowns before I remembered that I actually wanted to do lateral raises first before the pushdowns. So lateral raises, 15-pound dumbbells, my power block dumbbells, which I love those, by the way. If you need home gym dumbbells, I highly suggest power block dumbbells. And if you can get some that go up to 100 or like 90 pounds, 100 pounds, you're going to be set, right? So mine go up to 90, and those have really been a game changer. I don't think I'll ever really need higher than 90-pound dumbbells. For my genetics, my physique, for my overall strength, especially with slowing down the exercises, there's no way I'm going to need more than 90 pounds for any certain exercise. And if I did, I could always just pre-fatigue that muscle with another exercise before it. So here is lateral raises, 15 pounds, moving very slowly. Once again, obviously if I moved really fast, I could use 30s, but the set would last like 30 seconds, put extra stress on my joints and connective tissues. So starting here, nice and controlled, good form. We're trying to do this the rest of our lives, guys. We're not trying to go really heavy right now and then in 10 years you're all banged up and you can't do any exercises because all your joints are hurt and you've had surgeries and this and that, right? We're trying to prevent injury here while getting the most possible stimulus on our muscles. So lateral head of the delt, doing most of the work here. Keeping my elbows within the scapular plane, not moving them directly to the side, although you could do that, but I choose to kind of keep them a little bit bent in front of me, with elbows bent a little bit. So this is just to protect the connective tissues, not trying to get injured. I haven't had too many injuries in my career. I've had golfer's elbow on both forearms, a little bit of tennis elbow. That's really the only injuries I've had from lifting. In running, I've had patellar tendonitis before. That's not fun. So I'm not trying to get any more injuries, right? There's the end of that set. Couldn't get a full rep. Stayed contracting for a few seconds. Continued to try, and then that's it. So some exercises are harder than others, right? Some exercises burn more than others. Quad extension, right? It's very painful when you experience the tension on the muscles to failure. But something like lateral raises might not be as stressful on your body. Here's tricep pushdowns, taking like a quick break here, realized I was still breathing hard. Honestly, before this workout even began, this is early in the morning, about 7:30 a.m. I was a little bit nauseous, but I was like, I have to do it right now. This has been my favorite time to just get the workout in, early Sunday morning. My family's not really awake, not really doing much at this time, so it's a good hour for me to go ahead and get the training in. Especially with during the week, the Fire Academy and my job, both are very physical. So other people might look at this and say, "Oh, you train full body once a week. Well, that's really not enough training, Cameron." Well, you don't have my life, right? You don't have what I have going on. You don't have my genetics. You don't have my schedule. You don't have my family. So this has actually been an amazing routine for me to do, and I highly recommend it, especially to everyone in my Fire Academy. Just train on Sundays really hard and recover the rest of the week. That way you're prepared for whatever they give you, but you're also getting stronger as the weeks go by, right? Same weight, 50 pounds that I did with the curls. Nice and controlled form. Try not to put too much stress on the elbows, but we want the triceps muscle to be stressed. Right here is failure. Couldn't get a full rep at all. Held an isometric hold about 5 seconds. Come back up nice and slow. So that's the end of kind of the little arm segment. Next, we're going to be going into, push-ups or pull-ups. I can't recall. Pull-ups. Because I decided to do triceps just then. So I didn't want to go straight from triceps to push-ups because I felt like triceps would become a big limiting factor in going straight into push-ups. I like to alternate, right? I like to alternate muscles. If I do a push, then next is going to be a pull. The next might be a push, next a pull, then legs, So I don't like to slam all my push exercises first and then all my pull after that because they will affect each other, which is probably fine. But just for the purposes of me logging it and trying to do my best on each exercise, I like to separate it like that. So I'm just moving these J cups up one notch or a couple notches for when I do body rows, and I also plan to do seated overhead press, but I actually opted out of that one. So I chose not to do overhead press. By the time I got around to it, my triceps, my chest were already blown out, shoulders, and then I was just getting kind of nauseous, like I was saying. So this type of workout is very intense to the point that it's like if you were to go to the gym and push a heavy sled for as hard as you could for as long as you could, that's kind of what the effects feel like from a workout like this. So up again here is pull-ups. Last week I switched to pull-ups instead of chin-ups. It's been great. I've done pull-ups for a decade now. I specialized really in pull-ups for 5 years where I did weighted pull-ups, push-ups, dips. Got really strong for my body size. Not gifted in it really, but still, on my Instagram, you can check it out. I've done 105-pound pull-ups for 7 reps. I've done 90 pounds for 9. I've done my fair share of pull-ups in my life, but doing slow repetitions like this, I find it's just so much more effective on my muscles, right? The muscles experience so much tension that it's so much greater than just repping it out fast, right? You don't have to move your body fast. And people might look at this and say, well, you're probably getting slower because you don't pull very fast. Well, to that I would say, I'm able to produce force, right? Muscles produce force. This is challenging my muscles' ability to produce force. So can I still rep pull-ups fast? Yeah, I can still rep them way faster than the average person, but I'm not training for a competition. If I was training for a competition where the goal was to rep pull-ups as fast as possible, then yeah, I would definitely need to throw in some sessions or change the way I do it so that I practice repping as fast as possible because there's a stretch reflex involved with that. There's a timing factor involved with that, which with this, I'm just stressing the muscles, right? This is your baseline form of training to stress the muscles for people who are not competing, right? 90+% of the population, you're not competing in any of this stuff. You're not competing in lifts. You're not competing. Honestly, it's powerlifting, CrossFit mindset that gets involved with fitness as a whole, and it causes people to think they have to perform everything as fast as possible, as many reps as possible. But you got to remember, reps is not the stimulus on your body. The stimulus is mechanical tension. The stimulus is recruiting muscle fibers unto failure. That is what's going to give you the most stimulus. That's what's going to give you muscle hypertrophy, strength, cardiovascular, metabolic, bone and tendon strengthening, right? All these factors that you want. And then if you're trying to get power out of this, you're trying to do a sport that involves power, then you need to train that exact sport, right? This is strength and conditioning. This isn't power for your sport. If you want to do golf or boxing, whatever it is, you need to train that. You need to go box with your boxing shoes in a boxing gym with probably a boxing coach to show you exactly how the form and technique is, right? If you look at a lot of boxers, some of them are small, right? Some of those fighter guys, they're tiny, right? But they're way stronger than us when it comes to fighting, right? They would take us down easily. They can take down a bigger guy. Why? Because they know how to fight, and the bigger guy, maybe he doesn't know how to fight. He only lifts, right? So if you have a sport or a skill, then you need to practice that skill exactly in order to get better at it. However, with the principle of specificity, what you end up finding is a lot of people doing all these random exercises in the gym, modifying every single exercise, doing like beast stance, this and that, and just swinging battle ropes around, thinking they're training some kind of power. You're not training power. It's not specific enough. It's not the actual activity that you're trying to get better at. Your body has muscles, right? And if you get those muscles stronger, then you become more injury resistant. They're able to produce more force, right, in those activities that you're trying to improve at. So think of this, an Olympic weightlifter, right? They're doing an explosive lift, and that's their sport, and that's how they train. Should they also do box jumps? Should they also do plyometric jumping exercises? Well, some people would say, yeah, they should, because it's going to help them. When that's not accurate. You and I both know Olympic lifts is such a specific movement pattern that you have to do the Olympic lift to get better at the Olympic lift. Even the best Olympic lifting coach in the world, I forgot his name, he's got some Russian name. He even found that some of the Olympic lifts didn't even transfer to the actual competition Olympic lifts. So he had to start cutting those out of his athletes' training and training only the exact competition lifts. So that just goes to show you how specific the skill of specificity is. You're not going to get away with doing something that's close to the sport, right? You need to do the exact sport. Finishing off here with push-ups. Really, my whole body is shaking at this point. Trying to get another rep here. Push really hard. I thought I was going to get it, but I just quite could not get it. So this is what it looks like getting up from push-ups to failure. It's not easy, not fun. Upper body is really getting pumped up at this point. So some people don't need to do this many exercises. You could probably get away with doing mostly just the compound lifts and then maybe one or two of the single joint exercises. But I try to do as much as I can because I want to get optimal results, right? There's a difference between health and optimal. If I was training that for somebody's just health, probably would just do 4 or 5 exercises to failure. I would coach them through it, though. There's a big difference between telling somebody to train to failure and having a coach there that can push you and make sure that you train to failure. That's a lot of the issue when it comes to high intensity training and people thinking that it doesn't work that well or it wouldn't work well. That's because you're not doing it the hardest possible, right? You need a coach. Most people need a coach, right? I am a coach. I am certified, and I've been in fitness for so long that I have the ability to refine my own technique, and I film every single set of my training, and I'm able to document it. I'm able to improve and point out points where I'm like, you know what, your form was looking pretty sloppy there, or you need to push harder, Cameron. So I'm able to coach myself in that way. So not everyone can do that. Not everyone needs to do that. Not everyone needs to be obsessed with this type of stuff, right? It's my passion. It's something I enjoy. That's why I chose to get 2 degrees in it, right? So not everyone's going to have that, but it's up to people like me and others who are in this field to coach general population to the best of our ability, right? Here is body rows that I'm doing here. So this is like a body weight exercise, and it's very, very effective for your back. A lot of people put this in their videos saying you should do this to get better, work up to doing a pull-up. That's true. It's not 100% true. I mean, you can do any back exercise provided you have good form and keep the muscles under tension. You're going to get the most stimulus and you train to failure. It doesn't have to be this, right? Most people who struggle with pull-ups, it's really only 2 reasons. One, they have a lot of excess body fat, and 2, they don't have enough muscle. So you got to come at that from one end or both ends, right? Maybe lose body fat, maybe build some muscle. It doesn't have to be through this exact exercise, because this is not a pull-up, right? It's close, but it's still not specific enough to be an exact pull-up. So you're really just working the general back muscles, which is what's going to come into play when you go to do that first pull-up. It's going to come down to your arms and your back. So it's important to train your entire body. That way you're closer to your goals. So I added weight on this bar in anticipation of doing seated barbell overhead press after this, but I realized right about now, thought about doing it, and I realized, you know what, I don't need to do extra work. I don't need to add in an exercise when those muscles have already been hit very hard, and I'm already feeling kind of nauseous. I got more to do. I got more muscles, right, that I haven't hit yet. I got legs. I got quad extension, isometric hold that I want to do, and then I have to do squats and calf raises. So if you kind of check how much rest I'm getting between exercises, it's generally 1 minute up to 2.5 minutes. It really just depends on the setup. I try to set up for 2 exercises like back to back a little bit better. So if it's possible on my rack, I'll put everything ready for 2 exercises in a row. That way I have less to set up. But right here, I put the bench there, still thinking I was going to do overhead press. And right here, I'm taking the weights off. I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. So you have to be able to make those adjustments, right? Mid-workout, I know myself. This isn't me being a sissy. This is me knowing, okay, do I really overdo it and hit muscles that I've already hit hard? Or do I ease off those and hit the other muscles that I've not touched yet? So you want the right amount of training. You don't want too much. You don't want too little. And too little can also come in the form of not training hard enough, which, since we have mainstream voices out there telling people to leave reps in reserve, what you end up with is people who already leave reps in reserve, and then they hear that about leaving more reps in reserve, and they have just the idea that they're probably leaving 3, 4, 5, 6 reps in reserve. There was a study done where they had individuals pick a weight that they were going to do for sets of 10 reps, and they did, and they did their 1 rep max test also, and they found that the weight they chose for sets of 10 was 50% of their 1 rep max. Now, if you know anything about like modern volume bodybuilding type training, 50% of your 1 rep max you should be able to do for sets of 20. And that's what the researchers said. They said, wow, these participants were leaving 10 reps in reserve, and they thought they were training hard with the weight that they chose. So it's important to choose the right weight for what you're going to do. For me, I'm about to do quad extensions here, and I'm going to add 3 plates onto this extension on the bench. And that's actually the working weight I usually use for quad extension reps. And I'm just going to do an isometric hold just to pre-fatigue the quads before I go into squats, because I don't like using a lot of weight on squats. I like using as little weight as I can get away with. And I find that putting the bar on my back makes me stronger, and I have to use even more weight. but it also shifts the tension to my glutes and hamstrings, which I don't really care about, right? I want it to be more focused on my quads. And so I like to hold a plate in front of me when I do squats to keep the weight on my quads, and I move very slowly, right? So here I'm just getting ready for this quad extension. I have to put the towel there under my knees because the pads are just kind of thin, and I feel some knee pain in the back of my knee, popliteal region, when I don't have enough padding there. So put more pads there, get ready. I have to hold my hands kind of behind the seat there, and then I raise this weight up, and I'm just going to hold it. Just going to do an isometric hold. This lasted about 59 seconds. I log everything from time, reps, weight, any specific grip or attachments I use. I make sure to have all that written down, so when I go into the workout, I know what I'm looking to do. Obviously, I have alternate exercises I can do if I choose to change it, which is really smart if you go to a commercial gym. You don't want to feel trapped like you have to do this or that exercise if there's a line of people waiting at that machine or at that exercise. So here you can see I'm kind of failing here. So my feet are falling, but I'm still contracting against the weight because with the curve of this resistance profile, it gets easier as my feet get closer to the ground, and it's way harder when my feet are straight out. So right there was the end. Lowered down. Now I'm going to turn the camera and get ready for squats. This whole workout obviously took me under 28 minutes, right? So that's what you get when you train hard and you don't just take a bunch of rest. You got to think about, what are you doing when you do multiple sets? Well, a lot of those muscle fibers recovered from your first set. It's usually your type 1 endurance fibers. Those are the ones that recovered. And then you hit them again, right? You start recruiting them all over again, and you get to those heavy, high threshold motor units. You recruit a little bit of them, and then you give up, and then you just repeat the cycle. I'm getting all the muscle fibers in one set, and they're getting fully stimulated for strength and growth. So here's how I like to do squats. I like to not go up all the way, because when you stand up all the way, you're just stacking the joints, which isn't bad, but what it does is it doesn't take that much muscular involvement to stand, right? You can stand all day. People stand all day long for their jobs. It's not that stressful on the muscles. You want to stay within the range of motion that the muscles are actually working, because your goal is to fatigue them. Your goal is for it to hurt. Your goal is for the muscles to suffer and become exhausted. If you take breaks between reps, you're letting them recover, even if it's just psychological, right? Which is probably the hardest part. The hardest part of this is pushing yourself. The hardest part is overcoming the mindset, the mentality that tells you to stop, take a break, that's too much, you've done enough, right? I'm trying to do as much as my muscles can handle, not just as much as my mind tells me I can handle. So there's a lot of improvements in confidence and pain tolerance from training like this. Just going down as low as I can, starting to come up, pushing as hard as I possibly can, could not come up, right? That's how you know you hit muscle failure. You could not come back up with the prescribed form and the weight and the tempo at which you're training. So when it comes to tempo, you want to eliminate momentum. You want to eliminate any outside forces and any movement that would take the stress and tension off of your muscles. That's the point of moving slow. I find moving slower, you can use less weight. You're getting the same results. You're just going to use less weight. So less setup, less forces on your joints, so less risk of injury. Next is calf raises, right? So I set my dip attachment on the ground, and I stand on it, and I get my weight belt, and I put 3 plates on it. So I like for my sets to last between 1 to 2 minutes. If they start going close to or above 2 minutes, I will add weight, and I'll make sure I'm moving as slow as I want to. So it's important to just train safe. This is not dangerous. This is training hard, but it's not dangerous. A lot of people equate training hard with risk, right? With danger for old people, right? It's gonna get you injured. Well, no, because the way I'm training is low force, and it's high effort, but it's low forces on your joints, on your connective tissue. You're just targeting the muscle and fatiguing it. That's how you train your body. That's how you train muscles. That's how you recruit muscle fibers, right? A lot of people think that when they move fast, they're recruiting type 2 fibers. Maybe. You might be, or you might not be. It might not be intense enough to recruit type 2 fibers, or you recruit them for a quarter of a second, and then the rest of the range of motion is just momentum and acceleration carrying you through. So when you're trying to target the muscles, you don't want that. You want them to be under tension the whole time. So I'm getting ready for my calf raises here, and I begin. Nice and slow. Knees are locked. 3 plates. This usually lasts about a minute and a half. When it comes to progress, right, a lot of people ask me how often should they make progress. You should progress all the time. It may not be every single workout, right? It may not be every single session. Depends on your exercise order, right? I kind of rotate the order a little bit, so it's harder for me to compare workout to workout. I have to look back to when I use that same structure, that same routine, to know if I made any progress. But I know people doing this that they've been training this way for 7 months, still making progress every time. So this is definitely the way you want to train if you want to make progress. And it's going to be fast because, why? Because you're training hard enough to stimulate all of your muscle fibers, and you're resting long enough to recover from the training. A lot of people can't fathom resting for multiple days on end. They think they're being lazy. They think they're not getting as much stimulus. But you're not being lazy. You're trained way harder than everybody else. You have to rest more, right? If you are a sprinter and you sprint very hard, you can't go immediately again and sprint very hard. They're resting several minutes between sprints, and they're not doing it all the time every day. You have to separate and understand that you're training hard, therefore the volume and frequency must go down. So that's the end of the workout right here. So 27:45. Doesn't take much time to get a very effective workout in. And in fact, you don't even have to take this long. You could get just the same effects with less exercises. And here's my little flex video I do after every workout. Weighing 168, I am 5'7.25". So for my genetics, I'm doing pretty good. I mentioned I've trained for 10 years. I didn't say what that was, right? For like 7 of it, it was distance running, it was body weight exercises for reps. So now I'm in my building muscle phase, you could say, but this is kind of the phase you want to be in for the rest of your life to train safely, effectively, and have the best health and fitness carrying over to your quality of life. So hopefully you guys love the video. Like, comment, share, subscribe for more.